Listen to my podcast about sports, Howdy, Ags. Welcome to the Tailgate, home of Aggie football. Today's episode brought to you by Matthews Electric, full-service electrical contractor in the Brazos Valley. No job too big, no job too small. Call Blaine at 979-220-6403. Light up your home, light up your life. Folks, don't forget to email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. Go to the YouTube, subscribe, send me some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what's going on in your life. Tell me anything. We look forward to hearing from you guys. All right, so let's talk some football. Let's start with the game. You know, the Aggies played on Saturday. Bowling Green comes to town. Bowling Green gave Penn State a pretty good run for their money. They're not a bad team. They gave the Aggies a pretty good run for their money. 26-20. Aggies pull it out. Look, it's a good win. It's a good win. This Aggie team still putting things together. You know, only 4 games into the season. Still have a lot of things that they're working through. But the truth of the matter is this game was too close. That they had a touchdown called back on a screenplay that was on a hold call, the screen to the tight end, which Aggie defense just parted the C4. No recognition. Otherwise, this game is even closer than it was. They did help us out a little bit. We got a little bit of help from the refs as well, but we pulled out the win. And that's number one. Now, 26-20 to Bowling Green. Let's not make this come out sound like this was a great win. It is very clear that it's not. It is not a great win. It's a good win. This team has some challenges coming up that we'll continue to talk about here in a minute. But let's take a quick little bit of a dive into this game. Start with the offense, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed, number 10. Number 10 on the field, number 1 in your hearts. Hey, look, Marcel had a pretty good game, if you ask me. I mean, 66 yards or something like that. And touchdown. 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good. 90 on the ground, about 176 through the air. He was 16 of 29 or 16 of 24 passing. He wasn't perfect. But once again, he's the one creating the explosive plays. Through the air and on the ground. 3 passes of over 20 yards or more. An 18-yard run. So, if you want to get right down to it, we keep talking quarterback. Marcel had a decent game. I'd say he had a good game. I'll come back a little bit to some of his decision making, and people are sort of like, oh, this is why you got to pull back the first game, whatever. Let me tell you something. This was a game where I still believe he's outplayed Connor, right? This is a game in which he's still the reason we're winning. This is a game in which he still is the man creating the explosive plays. He still goes down the field, something Connor wasn't doing. He still gives you an opportunity with his legs. He still buys you time with his legs. Was there some plays left on the table? Sure. But I want to remind everybody of the fact that we had a quarterback here by the name of Johnny Football. We had a quarterback here by the name of Johnny Football. I want everybody to go back and go watch Johnny Football's first couple of games. And I want you to remember how he was still figuring things out. But at the same time, you could already see the incredible playmaker that he was. That's what we're talking about here. Is he Johnny Football? Hell, I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not, right? I mean, that's a high standard to live up to. But he's got that kind of difference-making ability. He extends plays in the passing game with his legs. He creates plays and goes and makes them running the football, even in passing downs. He forces a defense to make sure that they've got him covered up, giving yourself some matchups on the outside. Not only that, but he's not afraid to throw the football. First drive. Aggies come out, get the ball right off the bat. It's not perfect. First, second, third downs. First, second, for third downs. First, second, third, fourth down. They're sitting there, and it's sort of methodical. Quick hitch to the outside to Thomas, actually it was Barber, right? 10-yard hitch over here to Watson. Just kind of methodical. Run game was a little slow, getting going. The run game overall struggled a little bit. Look at the yards, and I know it looks different, but a lot of that came from Marcel making plays with his legs. 90 yards on the ground. 200 and some odd yards altogether, but it wasn't dominant. He did make some throws. And they kind of marched down the field. They wouldn't have had to go for the first down except he slipped. Marcel slipped a little bit. But that throw on first down, I think it was a first down to Theo for the touchdown, that is an NFL throw. That is recognizing that you've got a safety coming across the field, not looking back at the ball, and putting the ball up high for your tight end to go make a play. Your big 6'6" tight end. That's an NFL throw. Defender with his back to you, and you go out and deliver a strike where only your guy can go make a play. That is next level. So he came out right off the bat, overcame some at times questionable play calling. Look, there's a run in there, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth play of the game, right? And you're sitting in there, you're running the zone to the left, and you bring one is on the opposite side of the formation there on the right-hand side. They got the outside linebacker sitting there. You're asking one to block the outside linebacker, and he gets absolutely demolished, and the guy chases down from behind, right? That's just bad. That's bad play design. That's asking a kid, one, maybe your smallest wide receiver out there, to block a linebacker in the play, in the box. Sorry, that's just bad play design. There's nothing you can do about that. Let's get back to the offense. After that first drive, which they did go down the field, take care of business, it was look, 4 field goals, right? We talked about it prior to the season. And, you can't settle for field goals if you want to compete for championships. Your offense can't be a field goal offense if you want to compete for championships. We thought Colin Klein was going to help us in that area. He had a good track record of that. So far, that has not been the case. So far, that has not been the case. He has not converted for touchdowns. He has not converted for touchdowns. He's not done a great job of producing touchdowns in the red zone, of not having to settle for field goals. And to some extent, it's because they've been ultra conservative so far. Ultra conservative. But let me tell you another reason. And I want you guys to go back, go watch that game again. Go watch all games this season. And you're going to see a trend. That if you see it, then anybody sees it. And then you're going to see a trend on defense. The opponent's defense. What is that trend? Well, watch us on third down. Third down and 5, third down and 8, third down and 10, anywhere in that vicinity. Medium to long. Not extra long, but in that range, 5 to 10 yards. And Colin's going to call either all quick outs. If it's 3rd and 5, he's going to throw all quick outs, all quick hitches. If it's 3rd and 10, maybe 10-yard hitches. That's what he's going to call. And the defenses know that, because if you watch them, they are just sitting on those wide receivers, sitting on them. First break, boom. Marcel's got nowhere to go with the ball on third downs, because those guys are playing that. They're playing that so aggressively. Where was the double move? Give me a double move out there. How about that? Those guys are so aggressive on these third downs. I mean, all you have to do is give a little stop. Those guys are going to and then go. You guys are going to be so open. Did we see that? No, we didn't. I mean, very first play, that corner comes in and sinks down on that out by the slot guy, right? On Barber. Boom. Yeah, he catches it just a little bit late, but he's coming, being aggressive. If I see this, if you see this, if anybody sees this, when people watch these games, that's easy to spot. Defensive coordinators know that. These corners know that. The defensive backs know that. What are they doing? Well, you've got to go put some pressure on them. You got to push the ball down the field on third down. You got to run routes down the field. It was later on in the game, you see it, and they're trying to hit the hitch. They're trying to hit the hitch to 6. They're trying to hit the hitch to 6, but that guy, once again, sits on the route, third down, I don't know, it was 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 10. The other route is they got a tight end on the outside running a go route. Is that guy a threat against a cornerback running a go route? No, he's not. No, he's not. So now you've got basically one option in this hitch, to number 6. And of course he's covered. He tries to chair it out. Marcel gets pressure inside because your offensive line misses a block. But he creates some space, gets out of there, gets rid of the ball. Oh, it was a bad throw. No, it wasn't. Guy wasn't open. Threw the ball away. Period. The play design right now still leaves a little bit to be desired. And I will tell you, it wasn't on every play. he did a couple of things. There was a nice on the play to Thomas on the little boot, boom, boom, boom. He hit Thomas, pass interference at the goal line. He also had the drag coming across that was open. It's a nice little play action, get nice, good run action, boot out on the run, good throw. It's a nice play, creative and explosive play, pass interference, done and done. Good play. They had a play also where they were able to extend the defense out because of the fact that they had the motion coming across, and they caught Bussy his only touch of the day. Bussy almost fell, came across, brought him back as a yo-yo, out and to the flats off of a little bit of a play action. Once again, easy peasy. First down. On fourth down. Great throw, great catch. Bussy, physical, gets another few yards. So that's not wasn't everything. But in critical downs, critical situations, in third downs, his play calling has been crap. It's been crap. The other thing is that you go look at this team and you go look at some of these play calls. Well, it's third down. I can't remember. It was backed up into our deal. Third down. They've got everybody. They've got 8 guys across the front. You got 4 wide receivers out there. The guy wide right was wide open. Their defensive back was, 12 yards back. 12 yards back. And you're sitting there and you got Marcel going to the other side, to the short side of the field. And of course, they dropped their guys off and they got their secondary rotating. They pick it up on that side. This guy over here is wide open. They ain't getting to him. These guys that are lined up here at the line of scrimmage ain't getting to him. Just get him the freaking football. The defensive back is at 12 yards. Later on, they've got them all pressed. All of them pressed. There's nobody in the middle of the field. Just run the doggone guy down the middle of the field. Slant, seam, however you want to run it. But get one of your fast guys, maybe number 1, maybe number 2. Right down the middle of the field. Catch the ball, throw the ball. That's it. How easy is that? Why? Because they got everybody in the box with press on the outside. Can't throw a quick little wide receiver screen. That's not what's going to work. You certainly can't hold the ball and let these routes develop at 10 yards and a hitch. Makes no sense. That guy's open today. He's open right now. Why? Because he's pressed and the middle of the field's open. Press, middle of the field's open. Go. Now, if you want to back the corner off just a little bit to give yourself some space, a little quick motion, in, out, boom. There you go. But no, instead, trying to get a 10-yard out, 10-yard hitch. 10-yard hitch. Doesn't work. Wonder why. Overall, the offense, I thought Marcel, like I said, played well. Wasn't perfect, played well. Your running backs, I'm going to get to the offensive line here in a minute because I've got some thoughts on those guys. The running backs, 8 and 5, both really good. 8's big, physical guy. I mean, you love the way he runs. We've talked about it before. His vision ain't always on point, right? So it's early on. We run a power, I think, to the left side. Pull, Basantis, he does a great job of kicking out. The tight end, number 84, comes around through the hole, picks it up. and 8's got a wide open hole in there, and he cuts it outside of one of the blocks and gets tackled. Instead of cutting back underneath that block, and boy, who knows? He may still be running. But he misses some of those every once in a while. Now, you sort of take that because of the fact that he's such a physical runner, right? And a lot of occasions he creates yards for you because of his physicality. 8's pretty darn good. Le'Veon Moss has done a really good job of creating yards for us. On occasion, he misses the hole. 5, on the other hand, usually hits the hole. I actually thought, though, that there was a play on Saturday where he kind of took a bad angle and wasn't able to get. He had some penetration that caused the problem, but he wasn't able to get to where the hole was. He kind of took a bad angle on it. 5 normally is the guy that's more consistent there, more consistent in getting to those places, getting to the hole and seeing it, and using his vision and kind of just quick movements to get to open field, right? He didn't get as many carries on Saturday. I thought he probably should have got a little bit more action on Saturday, some more touches. There's a play early in the first quarter. I mean, with 3rd down, and Bowling Green comes in. They've got guys lined up all over the place, and they bring the pressure off the right side and drop the guys off the left side, right? So you've got Besantis and Zune sitting there not blocking a soul. Shanahan doesn't get help from Besantis on his guy, and he lets him go, kind of picks up the next one. But there's a blitzer coming from the right side, so Daniels has got that blitzer. Well, when Shanahan lets this guy go, 5 picks him up and basically blocks him into the blitzer, picks them both up, allows Marcel time to get rid of the football and go. I mean, a guy that does that, a guy that's doing that for you in the passing game, you have to reward him with touches. That dude has been excellent in the pass protection. He's a darn good back with the ball in his hands. Get him more touches. Why? Because the guy's a playmaker. And honestly, I mean, I think he gives you another element in that backfield as a blocker. Not to take anything away from Moss, keep feeding him the football, but you got to use 5. You have to use 5. Offensive line wise, for the most part, had a pretty good game. In most things, they got caught off guard a little bit with some of these blitzes because we ended up in 3rd and long situations, right? And Bowling Green was able to sort of do some exotic things on 3rd and long. Caught him a little bit off guard. But for the most part, they were able to do some things. We struggled in the run game, and first time watching this thing, it's like, well, they got a lot of guys in the box. Yeah, maybe partially true. But on top of that, we've got tight ends and wide receivers being asked to block guys inside the box, linebackers and defensive ends. And those guys were a big part of the reason why the run game wasn't consistent, wasn't explosive, wasn't as productive as it had been. Especially the run game with the running backs, right? A lot of that comes from the tight ends and from the wide receivers. Which to a certain extent is schematic, right? Because if you're asking your tight end to block a defensive end, the likelihood is he's going to struggle, right? He's going to struggle. Those guys aren't on the same level. Defensive ends are the best athletes on the planet. So it's a good chance. Physicality at defensive end is a lot higher than a tight end in most cases. Just the way it is. So when you're asking that from your guys, you're asking for failure. It's my opinion. On occasion, maybe. Yeah, okay, maybe. You're asking number one to block a linebacker, you're asking for failure. So some of the run game stuff was not on the offensive line. It was more on some of the peripheral blocks. I thought the O-line played pretty well. They picked up some stuff on twists and things like that. They, at some point, 75 got in the game, and I thought he struggled a little bit. He's not getting the same reps. You can tell he's not getting the same reps as the guys up front, the other guys. And 55 had to come out of the game for a while. 75 goes in, does some decent things, but at the end of the day, he needs more reps. That's a young guy that 2 years ago was maybe your best offensive line. Last year, buried in the depth chart for some reason. And this year also kind of buried in the depth chart. So I think that's got to be a guy that continues, that you got to develop, because he's a big old physical guard. Big old physical guard. And a guy that can do some things. So we'll continue to see how much he gets in there. I thought Shanahan played a really good game at center till he got hurt. Zune was phenomenal. He's really, really, really continues to step up. I mean, you watch him in the past game, and honestly, he hasn't given up anything. He hadn't given up anything. It's pretty incredible. With Crownover and Father rotating at the other tackle, I don't know who. I felt like Crownover made some nice blocks, but I also thought that maybe Father was a little bit more consistent. But it's good to have both of those guys. It's good to have both of those guys, and both of those guys getting reps, honestly. 55 had a good game. Basantis had a good game. There's times when he gets too aggressive. That's a tricky thing, right? Because it's not something you want to take away from your offensive lineman, his aggressiveness. Sometimes he gets too aggressive. And then where he has struggles is if he disengages. So he's got his guy, and his guy goes away, disengages. Now he doesn't know where to go. Well, here comes the other guy, right? He should stay right in there and pick up the next one, which he doesn't do, and then Shanahan ends up trying to block too. And I saw that happen because Basantis turned out. Well, remember, your guy goes in, you should expect something coming, probably from that side. Come in and help, see it happen. So he's got to be a little bit better than that, because as the season goes on, people are going to see it. They're going to try to take advantage of that with those stunts. Get his guy out of there. Boom. That's where you're going to get pressure. But he also makes, like I said, his aggressiveness is a positive and a negative, right? He makes some really nice blocks, and does some good things at creating big holes. I thought the double teams were really good most of the day in the zone blocking scheme. The 2-on-2 game in the zone blocking scheme, man, I thought, and they stayed on those down linemen, didn't allow that penetration for a long time, and let those linebackers come to them. Sometimes just stack those guys, stack that defensive lineman right into the linebacker. I thought that was huge, huge, huge. Very much improved. The down blocks, they'd stay on it, down into that linebacker, right? Down into that linebacker. They don't have to come off. You're getting more movement there. A couple of times where they allowed some backside pressures on runs. That was something that was evident to me. Guys chasing it down. And what does that mean? What does that mean? So if the guy's chasing him down from behind, that tells me that they weren't doing a great job of pulling. And so, look, we had a rule back in the day when our quarterback was one of the best athletes on the field. We said, if in doubt, pull the ball. when the Texas Longhorns had Vince Young, his rule was, when in doubt, pull the ball. When you have Marcel Reed, you tell him, when in doubt, pull the ball. I don't think they're letting him pull. I think they're calling it for him sometimes. They're not letting him fully read that thing because there's probably another 6, 7 of those runs where he could have pulled it and absolutely just ran for days. Go back and watch it. Zone read, defensive end just crashing hard down, makes the play on the running back, nobody out there. Same thing to the other side. Defensive end gone, nobody out there. And so I can't believe, well, maybe he is. I can't believe he is giving this ball on an actual read. And sometimes it's so quick that there's no way he's reading it, right? Slow it down, read it, and pull. Pull it and get your butt outside, go make some yards. Now, how many times do you want him running the football? Well, maybe you don't want him running the ball 20 times, and I understand that. But if you're going to run this zone read, if you're going to run the zone read, those guys are crashing from the backside, that is your answer. Because the plays weren't being made by the defensive linemen on the front side. They weren't. The offensive line was doing a good job. They were made by guys coming down hard, ignoring the pull whatsoever at all costs, and making a play. Go back and watch it. There was at least 6 different times in that game where he could have pulled the ball and been running for a while. So, coaching point, Marcel, hey, we run these zones. You got to remember, if you're in doubt, whether that guy's coming down, pull it. If in doubt, pull it. Now, we got a pretty good running back. But Marcel is a difference maker. You got to give him the freedom to get that ball out on the edge in those situations. I can't tell you how many other more yards he could have had and this offense could have had if he'd have pulled it more often. Is that a decision he's making, or is that something to tell him to do? Colin Klein, I challenge you to fix that. Let's finally talk about the wide receivers. This idea that we need to get Noah Thomas super involved. Hand him the football. No, thank you. Terry Bussey needs to be more involved. Number 2 is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. If you want to hand off the ball to the wide receivers, that's the guy. Maybe number 1. Number 1 can take the ball and go make plays. Number 3, no, thank you. No, thank you. They ran the quick hitch to number 3 that one time. The tight end and number 1 blocking, and neither one of them blocked their guy. But what sense does it make to run a quick screen to number 3 and have number 1 blocking? Number 1's this big. Little bitty guy. Probably not your best option. Tight end needs to be better. So, offensively, guys that did look good, Walker, I'm just impressed with Walker. And if there's a guy that you need to be thinking about, hey, how do we get this guy the ball? That's the guy probably. I think Barber continues to get added to this game plan. I think he needs to be involved. And ultimately, we know that Moose isn't going to get involved because the coaches hate him. I don't know what he does in practice, but apparently he does something that pisses them off because he's on the sideline and he can't get on the field. And this is 2 coaching staffs in that's the case. And when you have a guy talented like that you can't get on the field, that hurts your team. Hurt your team. Can't handle them during practice. I don't know whose fault is that. Probably both of theirs. 7's got to be better, and the coaching staff's got to figure out how to do that. That's a guy that's not on the field, that's not making plays because he's on the sideline. And if you had a other wide open offense, maybe it doesn't matter, but you don't. Not yet. Receiver-wise, they need to continue to give these guys opportunities to make plays down the field. I want to see Barber down the field. I want to see Bussy down the field. I want to see Walker on one-on-one matchups down the field. Guy's big, physical. Let him be your jump ball guy. So the offense, left a lot to be desired. Too many field goals, not enough touchdowns. The play calling, especially the third down play calling, problematic. It feels like this offense right now is Marcel Reed, get me out of trouble. Make my play calls right. Instead of an offense coordinator that puts his freshman quarterback into a position where he doesn't have to be the answer. Give him some easy plays. How about a little screen to the tailback every once in a while? More play action. Using the formations and motions to get, tight ends in open spaces. Being able to get receivers in open spaces. A lot of things that you can do in order to create some of that space. We're not doing it yet. Let's turn to the defense, because defensively, I think we've got a bigger problem. I've been on Colin Klein now for a couple of weeks. Defensively, we've got a bigger problem because our head coach is our defensive coordinator. Jay Bateman, the defensive coordinator, is a guy that just wants to please Elko. That's it. Wants to please Elko. He understands that Elko likes to do all this exotic stuff and whatever. He's going to do more of it than Elko would even do. This defense did not play a good game. They didn't. Not because the players themselves didn't play a good game, because this scheme is ridiculous. If just throw it to the back out of the backfield, because he's never covered. Never covered. From the opening drive, they didn't cover that guy. They sit in there, back out of the backfield. They got zero trying to cover him. Nothing. Zero doesn't react quick enough. The guy's out and got him beat by alignment. Anyway, he completion, it's 8 yards. Done and done. Later on, they've got zero trying to cover 6, the wide receiver. Run them out to the flats. It's a 10-yard gain and a first down. It's not a good matchup. Not a good matchup. The backside of the backfields were too slow in reacting. We're not getting there. Early on in the game, they had 11. First play of the game, defensively. 11 drops off into coverage. Guy to the flats, right to his side. 11's not a cover guy. That guy's not good. 8 yards. What good does it do you? You just pulled your best pass rusher, put him into coverage, and he didn't cover nobody. He didn't cover the guy he was supposed to cover. Not effectively. That's bad defense. That's you being stubborn at the fact that you want to run all this different schemes. I mean, how often can they run a twist where they bring the doggone defensive ends over the top and try to get the doggone defense tackles outside, and they run outside and break contain? Nobody out there. Linebacker stuck in molasses. Go watch that game. That happened, I don't know, 8 times. 8 times, probably. You get one where they're running, sort of zone right, maybe even an outside zone to the right, and your defensive line stunts that direction. Good guess. We get them in the backfield. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Great job. But that means that you have to guess right. Another 3 times, they stunted away from the play, and they had room to run. Why, with the talent that you have on the defensive line, with the talent that you have at linebacker, with the talent that you have in the secondary, with the talent you've got all over this defense, are you having to guess in order to make a play? By the way, he's not 50-50 on those guesses, man. He's worse than 50-50 on those guesses. Slant them all one way, just go out the other way, because those linebackers ain't covering over the top. Most of the time, you're bringing a safety down to try to cover that up, and by the time he's there, that's too late. The defensive scheme does not have to be this creative, especially not on first and second down. Later on in the game, they go in, boom, it's third down and short, whatever. They play straight up. Forward lineman rushing, boom. Stay defensive ends to the outside, boom. Coverage, man, coverage on, boom. Everybody's covered, good play, boom, no problem. Got help over the top, no problem. And I understand you don't do that on every down. And you mix it up with some blitzes and things on first and second down. But you got the talent to do that. You got the talent to do that. You especially have the talent to do that against Bowling Green. We're constantly out of position. They missed several wide open wide receivers. Several times did they miss a wide open wide receiver. The interception in the end zone, tight end wide open. Should have been a touchdown. Horrible throw. Horrible throw. Oh, man, Ratcliffe did such a great job. Interception, blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. He was sitting by himself in the end zone, and the ball came right to him. Like, if he doesn't intercept it, it might, knock him out. The play on the first play of the second half, all they do is a little deal, bringing guy coming out of the backfield on that deal. Tight end just goes right by number 26. He bites on the guy in the flats. But hell, the tight end down this field wasn't the only one open. The other tight end right in the middle of the field was also open. So even if you cover that guy, this guy's completely open, Coverage is horrible, and mostly because of the fact that the scheme just is horrible. Scheme allows for too many different options, too many mix-ups. Everybody has to be perfect with tons of movement and rotations, and no, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. That gets you some negative plays. It does. And look, we got some stops. This is Bowling Green, though. This is Bowling Green. What do you think that's going to look like against Texas? That schemes up on top of everything else to get you to beat you with phenomenal athletes. What's that going to look like against Texas? What would that look like against Ole Miss? Team that this Aggie defense has struggled for a while. Struggled against. you know, Mike has always said, look, we got to do the best thing for our players. We got to put our players in good positions. We're going to, this and this and that. We got to adjust our scheme based off on our players. It's not just about what we want to run. Well, right now it's all about what you want to run, because the scheme that you're running is your scheme and it's not vibing with this group of players. Why? Because your strength is in the fact that you've got guys like Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, Nick Scorton, Howe, Kennedy, Silla. These guys that can come in and just wreak havoc up front by themselves without any scheme or anything else, without all this twist and turning and whatever. Look, when they sat in there and lined up and they had, it was a third down. Now's the time to do it, right? And you had Scorton, Kennedy, Turner, and maybe it was Howe, actually, and Stewart. And Stewart played inside, and they came through, wham, bam, quick sack, done and done. That was kind of a NASCAR package, third down. That's great. Do all that, some of that crazy stuff there. But don't drop off number 11 in the coverage. Not going to do you any good. The other thing is those linebackers, 21, lost in coverage. He's out there. He hadn't covered a person all season. I'm exaggerating. But he's lost in coverage. Zeroed a lot better. He's done some good jobs. When he was matched up against the other zero, the tight end, he made, he was decent in coverage. Made some plays. He can't be matched up against the wide receiver because that guy got beat in 2 seconds against the wide receiver. He can't do that. But against tight end, backs, these guys did fullback in the flat. Nobody covered. Straight up. There's number 3 was coming hard down from a safety position coming in. Fullback runs right by him. Now you're chasing. Chasing. Doesn't work. They missed open plays. Yeah, I know people are going to miss them from time to time. But as you're looking at this team, this Texas A&M football team and this Texas A&M defense, they should not be chasing or having to scheme up against a team like Bowling Green all the time. They shouldn't have to be about scheme. You should be able to run man-to-man with some of these guys and go play. Let your front go play. Let your front go play. You got safeties over the top to help with man. Press those corners. They knew it. Go watch them early on. They motion. The moment that motion comes across, those corners sag. Now they got room to do whatever they want to. Quick hitter here, outside run over here. Go watch the first drive. They did it purposefully. They knew the adjustment for his defense because what? They're not fully committing to actually rolling the players over, right? So they're rolling, but now you got a safety in coverage, and now you're dropping the corner off so that he can avoid getting beat because he doesn't know him. Now he no longer has help, right? Well, why wouldn't you take your nickel and bring him across the formation from a one receiver side to what is now the 2 receiver side? Does that make any sense? No. Or be prepared to roll those safeties all the way across and back. Take your nickel up out of there. I mean, either way, but no, they knew exactly what they were doing. What are we going to do when we bring this guy across the formation? Oh, well, now that safety is going to come up just a little bit. Corner's going to sink, but because this backside safety is still going to have to help in the middle of the field. We're going to leave the nickel back there to go do nothing. Go watch it. Go watch it. I challenge you to go watch it. defensively, Mike Elko has got to figure this out, and he's going to have to make some changes to what he believes is his scheme. He's got to adjust to the fact that these players are better off coming off the ball, taking care of their own business, not all this stunting and twisting and whatever, because teams have attacked you doing it. You're guessing. Don't guess. Be sound. Be sound. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Look, Aggies now get Arkansas, favored by 2.5 at Jerry World, 2:30 p.m. ball game on Saturday. Ooh. Woo. Man, I don't know. I'm a bit concerned. We're going to go to questions from the tailgate. Question number 1, what do we expect against Arkansas? I think that if this defense does not play a lot better and stop giving up the big plays, which that is their trademark at this point in the season, big plays, giving up big plays. If they don't change that, they don't do it, which means that they have to adjust the scheme. They don't change that. Arkansas can hurt you. They can hurt you because they can run the football. The quarterback can run the football, create big plays with his legs. Their running game is legit. It's not Bowling Green. Now, Taylor Green is not always the most accurate throwing the football. But you leave those guys, they can get open down the field, which we've seen that the Aggies have been allowing with this scheme. He can burn you. He's got a cannon. He can go down the field. And they're not afraid to do it. So you've got to do something different. They can hurt you. Big plays is their calling card. Big plays, giving up big plays is so far the calling card for this defense. There has to be something has to happen, right? Something has to happen. Stop that. Let's see what adjustments they make. Mike Elko, here's the challenge. What adjustments are you going to make? I think offensively, Marcel and this offense are going to have to continue to do what they've been doing. I think the running game has got to continue to make plays for you, but you got to open up the running game too. Bowling Green played you with 8 guys in the box all day. Sure, they did. You've got to do some things to back them off. Third down, you've got to do some things to back them off. You can't run all hitches. Let's see what happens on third down. Let's get creative. See some motion, getting a tight end sort of lost in the shuffle and coming maybe backside. Whatever, something. Create some space for these wide receivers. I want to see a different offense on third down. I want to see something that's going to be more creative, more explosive. I need to see Terry Bussey with the ball in his hands even more. Arkansas can hurt you. If you don't score points, you will lose this game because Arkansas is going to score some points. Big plays, you give up big plays. All you got to say. There may be a lot of negative plays by our defense. A lot. Problem is that the 4 big plays that they have are going to be touchdowns. Just be careful. You have to adjust that scheme. Offensively, you got to do better on third down in your play calling. better on third down when you play calling. You got to do better in the red zone. You got to get Marcel pulling the ball on some of those zone reads. If those guys are going to sell out to stop the run, you got to pull it. That's what we need to see against Arkansas. We probably need to see some play action pass and over the top. But it's going to be a good game. It always is in Jerry World. There's been very few that haven't been. This is going to be a good game. Think about this team going forward. Missouri, beatable team. They almost lost to Vanderbilt, right? They're not number 7 in the country. They're beatable at your home, but they're going to score points. So you better be ready to. You got to score points. Can you contain Luther Bird? Can you contain the running game? The running game, excellent. What's going to happen with South Carolina? Is their big-time explosive quarterback going to be healthy for that? It's going to happen against LSU. They can make plays in the passing game. This team has got a schedule now that sits very good for a team that's well coached, for a team that's got the talent that they do, for a team that has the ability to do the things that they have. If this coaching staff can get them rolling in the right direction, you've got a chance to have a run at Texas. Run all the way to Texas. That's pretty impressive. I'm saying that. Will they? I don't know. Probably not. Not the way they've been playing. Not the way they've been playing. But that leads me to question number 2. Who should the quarterback be? Look, if you've been listening to this podcast, you already know the answer to this question. There's no question about it. It should be Marcel Reed, the only guy on this offense that creates explosive plays. Marcel Reed, explosive plays, big plays. Is he perfect? No. You got to get him comfortable in some things. But that dude has made your offense explosive, or at least given it the ability to be explosive. Without him, we're 5 yards in cloud of dust. You might as well be Jimbo's office. Love you, Connor, but this ain't even a question. This ain't even a question. For those of you folks that are sitting there saying, "Oh, did you see that Bowling Green game? He wasn't that good." No, yeah, he was. Oh, yeah, he was. He was the one that gave you the opportunity to win that game. That's all I'm going to tell you. It was his plays, big plays, in that first touchdown. Gig 'em Aggies from the tailgate. Love you guys. See you next time.